Begin today's practice on your back with your legs in reclined butterfly position, knees out and relaxed, bottoms of your feet touching. Close your eyes and feel the breath. Inhale softly and exhale softly. Relax your shoulders, relax the muscles around your eyes, relax your tongue, your cheeks. Just take the time to really be here today in this short practice, this short time we have together, and dedicate this practice to being present, to being open-minded, to patience with yourself. Set a brief intention before we get into movement. Now bring your knees together into your chest and gently rock your knees into circles, counterclockwise, clockwise, just gently loosening up those hips. Breathe through the motions. Move with breath. Yoga is a dance with your breath to help you connect to yourself so you may connect to the world. Now come into Happy Baby, where you hold the outsides of your feet and open up your hips again, just very gently. Try to keep your shoulders and your tailbone pressed into the floor. And you can move your Happy Baby any way you want to. Maybe you stay in original Happy Baby pose, or maybe you straighten one leg and straighten the other, saying hello to your hamstrings today if you haven't woken them up quite yet. Gently release your hands and lower your legs down with control to the floor. Now raise your arms above your head and you can keep them laying behind you, or you can rest them at the base of your skull right behind your neck as we go into double crunches. I like to do it with my arms raised so I can kind of touch my toes as I go into it. Exhale on your crunch and inhale as you bring your arms down. Keep your legs up. And exhale, raise your shoulders again. Try to reach for your heels. Inhale, relax. Exhale, contract. Inhale, relax. So you're going to keep your lower body in place with your lower abs as you just work the top half. And exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Hold. Point your toes and lower your left leg down to the floor. Clasp your hands here except for your index fingers and bring them over to the outside of your right leg as you lower your right leg and raise your right leg. Now your left leg is staying hovering over the floor as you lower your right and raise your right, and you keep your shoulders above the floor. So you're just hovering everything. Raise your right and lower your right. Raise your right. Lower your right leg. Raise your right leg. And lower. And now raise your left leg, and you're going to bring your hands to the opposite side. So now go over to the left. Lower your left leg and raise your left. And lower your leg and raise your left. Strong core here. Lower and raise. Breathe through it. Don't hold your breath. Lower and raise your leg. Lower your leg and raise your leg. Lower. We're just bringing fire to the core now. And release. Bring your hands to your sides, palms facing down, as you now bring your heels close to your bum. Now that we have our core warmed up, we're going to warm up our bums and the back side of our body. So raise yourself up to a bridge. Here, make sure that you're using your glutes and your hamstrings to pull you up. Now, this is just the beginning of your practice, so you don't have to go too hard. Make sure that your chin is moving away from your chest. Make space for your neck and lower your hips. One more time, you're going to raise your hips using your bum. Breathe here. Make space for your neck. And lower slowly to the ground. One more time, you're going to raise your hips. This time you can clasp your hands underneath your bum and shimmy your shoulders underneath your back to make more space for that arch in that back bend bridge. Make sure that your chin is moving away from your chest and not curving in. Feel the strength of the back of your body and slowly lower yourself down. You're going to bring your knees to your chest once more. And here we're just going to quickly separate our knees into a big circle and round it up, close at the top, and set your feet down. And bring your legs down onto the floor straight. Rest here a little bit as we prepare to come up. Feel the warmth in your body that we just generated. And now, using the strength of your core, try as hard as possible to lift yourself up with straight back and straight legs into seated pose. Now reach forward for your toes. And before I come into the full forward fold pose, I like to kind of make space for my hips to move forward by lifting up my butt cheeks a little. Inhale, extend your back and your neck, and exhale, fold forward, bending at the elbows, slightly pulling forward with your arms. And just breathe here, feel the stretch in your hamstrings. Be aware of the lower back. Inhale, come up, and exhale, bring your knees up to cross-legged and hop back into tabletop position. Knees hip-width apart under your hips, wrist underneath your shoulders, and you're going to raise your wrists off the floor using the strength of your forearms and lower. Inhale, raise your wrists. And exhale, lower. Inhale, raise your wrist. It's a small movement. Exhale, lower, but you'll really feel it in those muscles. Back in tabletop position, make sure your biceps are rotating outward. And on an inhale, open your chest, curve your back into cow, and exhale into cat. Inhale, arching your back, and exhale. Really feel the stretch in your upper back as you pull your shoulder blades apart. Core tight, navel sucked into the back. Inhale, open up the chest, pull the chest through the arms, and exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Be aware of the core. Inhale, cow. Exhale, coming into cat pose. Inhale once more, cat. And exhale, come into your tabletop position. Walk your fingers out. We are coming into extended puppy pose. Make sure you keep your forearms off the floor, and for an extra stretch, you can bring your fingertips to the floor to make a little tent with your hands. Otherwise, if you feel the stretch, you feel good where you are, then you can stay there. Find what feels good to you today. You can rest your chest on the floor, chin on the floor, or forehead. Now gently come back up into tabletop position and push your hips up into your first downward facing dog. We're going to hold here in downward facing dog to check the posture. Is your spine lengthening? Can you create as straight as possible a line between your shoulders down to your tailbone? Can you tilt your sitting bones a bit more toward the ceiling like a string is pulling it up? Make sure there is a micro bend in your knees so you're not hyperextending your knees. Navel is drawn in, and with your hands, make sure you're distributing the weight evenly throughout your knuckles and the fingers and your thumbs. Inhale, raise your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look in between your hands, and either hop in between or slowly walk toward the top of your mat into a forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, and exhale, hands at your heart in prayer position. Inhale, raise your arms up, and exhale, dive down into full forward fold, back straight. Inhale, halfway forward fold, look up, and exhale, step your right leg back, and then your left, and exhale, lower all the way onto the ground. Untuck your back toes, and come up into a baby cobra. Just a baby one. We're going to hold here for a couple breaths before we release into the floor. Now bring your hands out right to the outside of your mat and bring your fingers to the floor, making a tent, and come up into a bigger cobra here. Open the chest, pull your lower abs up and through your arms, and slowly lower down. Return your hands underneath your shoulders, untuck your back toes as you come up into a cobra. Legs are still on the floor, chest is pulling through, and now on an exhale, come into downward facing dog once again, checking the form. Now inhale, your right leg comes up into three-legged dog, and exhale, right leg steps in between your hands. Set up for crescent pose here. Scissor your hips, so make sure your right hip is pulling back as your left hip is pulling forward. Make sure your back heel is actively pushing up to the sky. Your navel is tucked in, so your lower rib cage is zipped together. Inhale, and on an exhale, lower down. Bring your hands to either side of your foot. And now step your left foot up to meet your right and come into forward fold. Lift up all the way into Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And now bring your hands down as we prepare for the other side. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, swan dive down into forward fold. Inhale, halfway, look up ahead of you. Exhale, plant the hands and step your left leg back. Right leg comes back down, and lower your body onto the mat. Untuck the toes. Inhale, baby cobra. Hold. Breathe. And exhale, release. Bring your hands to the outside of your mat once again. Fingers on the floor, raising you up into a bigger cobra now. Don't straighten your arms completely. Breathe here. Feel the opening of the heart and exhale down into the mat. Inhale once more into Cobra. Open up the heart. As you exhale, retuck your toes and come back up into plank and downward facing dog. Inhale, the left leg comes up. Exhale, step it through in between your front two hands. Inhale, come up into Crescent Pose. Hold here, navel to the back, legs active. Exhale, bring your right foot up to meet your left and forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up into Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. Don't lose your balance, Amanda. And exhale, Samastiti. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, swan dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, fingers on the floor or on your shins if you need. Exhale, plant your hands and jump or step into plank. Hold plank here. Inhale, exhale. Still holding plank. And on an exhale, come down into Chaturanga. Push into Cobra or upward facing dog. An upward facing dog, your thighs are off the floor. And open up the heart. Make sure your biceps are rotating outward. Triceps engaged, thighs engaged. And exhale, come into downward facing dog using the strength of your core. Breathe in downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, jump or step up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Now place your right hand on the floor right under your face and raise your left arm up toward the sky to make a straight line with your arms and to create a twist here. Try to keep your hips square to the front of your mat. On an exhale, lower your left arm. Forward fold for a quick reset and halfway lift. And now place your left arm under your face as you create a twist with your torso. Keep your hips square. Gaze up at your right hand. Exhale, lower your hands and come into a forward fold. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Tadasana. I'm coming to the center of the mat to demonstrate, but stay at the top of your mat. Now you're going to raise your right hip and point your right toe, kind of like you're wearing heels, and externally rotate. So turn your right leg outward and rest your right heel right above your left ankle. You could stay here or you could lift your right foot to rest on your calf. Or if it's in your practice today, you can take your right foot in your hand and rest it on the inside of your left thigh. Foot is pushing into the thigh, thigh is pushing into the foot for Vrksasana tree pose. Hands in prayer position. Hold your balance. You can keep your hands in prayer position at your chest, or you can raise your hands up above your head. You can look up at your hands if you wish. Challenge your balance. Wherever you are, release your foot, and now raise your knee into your chest as much as possible, using your hip flexors to lift, and slowly kick your right knee out behind you and come into Warrior 3 with your hands hovering, framing your head. In Warrior 3, make sure that your right leg is subtly rotating inward. On an inhale, you're going to lower your right leg into a crescent lunge again. And exhale, bring your hands to either side of your left foot. Prepare once more for crescent lunge. This time, twist over to your left, arms open to encourage the twist. And now stay here or walk your left hand down your right leg as you come into a reverse twist. Exhale and windmill your arms all the way back around into wide-legged forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifts, and exhale with the hands planted underneath you, come into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again, fingers still on the floor. And exhale, walk your hands over to the right as you come into another crescent lunge, scissoring the hips. Open your arms as you continue to turn to your right into a twisted lunge. Inhale, arms together. Exhale, lower your hands to either side of your foot and into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now walk your hands back to your feet, to the front of your mat, but you're facing backwards. And hold here. Inhale, hands come all the way up in reverse swan dive, and hands together in front of your heart. Inhale, arms come up above your head, and exhale, swan dive into forward fold. Inhale, walk your hands up to the back of your mat, and exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg comes up into three-legged dog. Point the toe. And exhale, step the left leg in between your hands and come up into Warrior 1. So your right foot is flat on the ground, angled about 45 degrees out. And hold here in Warrior 1. Gaze is up between the fingers. Legs active. Exhale and come into Warrior 2. In Warrior 2, your arms are out straight, tailbone tucked in, and square to the side of your mat. Inhale, come up into Reverse Warrior. Exhale into Modified Side Warrior. So your left elbow rests on your left leg. Inhale, come back into Reverse Warrior. This time you can bring your right arm behind you. And exhale, windmill your arms to the inside of your left foot and slowly walk over into a low lunge onto your right. Now let's watch that one more time. So you're going to pivot your left foot on your heel to the side of your mat facing me and walk your hands over to your right side and repivot your feet to come into crescent lunge legs on the right side. Lower your left knee, untuck your toe. Right hip pushes back, left hip pushing forward as you come into a low lunge. Exhale, lower your arms and step your left foot up to meet your right for forward fold. Inhale, come up into Urdhva and exhale, hands in prayer. Release your hands and prepare for tree pose on the opposite side. So you're going to come up into a tippy toe like you're wearing a heel on your left foot. And now turn your knee outwards as you externally rotate your thigh in that thigh socket. And you can either leave your foot on your ankle, bring it up to your calf, or for an extra challenge, or if that's where you are today in your practice, come up into full Vrksasana tree pose. You can leave your hands in prayer or grow your tree, so bring your hands up above your head. You can follow that gaze to your hands. If it's calling for you, you can separate your arms and hold them up, open to the sides. Wherever you are, take a few breaths, focus on your balance, and release your leg now. Using your hip flexor, raise your left knee as high as possible and kick through into Warrior 3 on your right foot. Biceps framing your ears. Left leg is internally rotating. Lower your left foot into crescent lunge on an exhale. Inhale up. And on an exhale, twist to your right side for twisted lunge. And walk your right hand down your left leg for a reverse twisted lunge if it calls for you. Otherwise, stay in the twisted. Wherever you are, inhale back to crescent lunge. Exhale, arms lower and walk to a wide leg forward fold set up. So inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to your hips. And inhale all the way up. Exhale, release your arms. And inhale, raise your arms up to your side. Exhale, clasp your hands behind your back. Inhale, lengthen the spine, slightly arch the back at the top, and exhale, fold forward. Shoulder blades are moving down your back, making room for your ears and your neck. Inhale, come all the way up with a strong back, and exhale, release the arms. Come into Warrior 2 on the right leg. Inhale, come into Reverse Warrior. Hold here, breathe here. Feel the stretch in the side and the front. Exhale, modified side angle. Make sure you're keeping that right thigh active, tailbone is tucking underneath. Inhale, Reverse Warrior. Make sure your right knee is pushing out to your right pinky toe. Exhale, strong, smooth, modified side angle. Open up that chest. Inhale once more into Reverse Warrior. And exhale, windmill your arms to rest on either side of your right foot and set up for Parsvottanasana or intense side stretch. Right hip pulling back, left hip pushing forward as you gently lower your chest over your right leg. In this pose, your left foot is flat on the ground with a slight angle out. If you want a little bit more, you can intensify the stretch by walking your hands out behind you. Inhale, lengthen the back. And exhale, pivot over onto the opposite side, walk all the way to the back. Inhale, halfway lift up, and exhale, navel to the spine, back straight, hips square, so you're pushing your right hip back, left hip forward. If you already got the straight back thing down pat, then you can stay in your intense side stretch. Otherwise, follow along with me to make sure that you are folding forward properly. So your left hand is going to rest on your lower belly, right hand on your chest, and as you pull forward, you're going to make sure that your left hand stays in the same spot. Only your right hand is pulling your chest forward. That way your back is straight, navel is pushed to the spine, and your hips are square. Exhale, find the position, find the stretch. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, pivot to the right. Plant your hands down, turn your toes outward as you prepare for a low goddess pose. So you're going to bend your knees. Make sure your knees are going out to the same direction as your feet are, so you're in a goddess/sumo type of squat. Inhale, straighten your legs, raise your arms, and exhale, come into goddess pose. Inhale, come back up again. And exhale, make sure that you're pushing out with your knees. Your tailbone is pulling down. Glutes are active as you inhale and raise up. And exhale, lower. Inhale, come up once more. And exhale, lower the arms. Heel toe your feet back to center and walk up to the top of your mat. Lower your hips and come all the way down into a seated pose with your legs straight in front of you. Now, keeping your left leg straight on the floor, bring your right knee up to your chest and bring your right hand about 6 inches behind your bum. Inhale, raise your left arm, create space, and exhale, twist over to the right side. If this twist isn't happening for you, you can just hold your knee with your left arm. Otherwise, push out with your left elbow. As you inhale, create space, lengthen the spine, and as you exhale, try to push yourself a little bit more into the twist. Gaze to the back of the room. On an inhale, release, come back to center. Now place your right ankle right above your left knee, not on your knee, but right above your left knee. And you're going to flex your feet so that you can protect your knee joint here. We're just going to do a simple forward fold with a hip opener. Lean forward and reach as far as you can for your left foot. On an inhale, you're going to lengthen, so straighten your back, and exhale, pull forward to encourage the stretch in the hip and to encourage the stretch in your hamstring on the left leg. Release, and now we're going to switch legs. So first you're going to do the twist. Left hand about 6 inches behind you. Inhale, raise your right arm up to the sky to create length, and exhale, use the elbow to push out in the twist. Make sure your right foot is flexed and active on the floor. Look out to your left shoulder. If you want a little bit more in the twist, you can reach behind and maybe bind your hands. Breathe in your twists. Inhale, create length, and exhale, deepen your twist. Now you're going to take your left ankle, left foot, and rest it right above that area right above your right knee so you can protect your right knee. And now flex your left foot so you can protect your left knee. and reach forward for your right foot. Inhale, lengthen the spine here, straighten out your back with your reach still on your right foot, and exhale, fold into it. Feel the stretch in your right hamstring as well as your left hip. And inhale, release. Now you're going to come into butterfly pose with your feet facing each other and touching. You can either grab your toes with your peace fingers or hold your feet as you lengthen forward. This isn't one of my strongest poses, so my knees aren't going to touch the ground. So don't worry if your knees don't touch the ground. Just try to feel the opening and the stretch in the hips. Inhale, come up. Now scoot your feet out maybe 1 foot's length away from where they were before and reach forward again, holding your ankles. You can pull forward with your biceps to feel a different kind of hip opening stretch. Make sure you're keeping your back straight as you lean forward. Navel is tucked into your spine still. Inhale, lengthen, straighten the back. And exhale, slowly with control, lower onto your back. Draw your heels close to your butt, preparing for one last bridge of today. Raise your hips. You can either keep your hands below your hips or clasp them. Wherever you are, make sure that your chin is moving away from your chest to create space for your neck. And breathe through the stretch, through this mini inversion for 3, 2, and 1. Lower your hips to the floor. And turn your knees toward each other and windshield wipe your legs, releasing any tension from the lower back. Come into happy baby once more. You can take any variation of happy baby that you want here. So if you want to just stay here traditionally, that's what you want to do. You can straighten your legs out. You can rock side to side, front and back on your mat. Just whatever little adjustments you think you need to take before we go into our twist and then our rest. Lower your feet onto the floor and shift your hips over to the right, keeping your feet apart. Lower your knees over to the left side, coming into a twist. You can bring your left heel onto the outside of your right knee if you need a little bit more. Arms out by your sides, straight out. Gaze to your right. Breathe here. Relax. Settle into the twist. Release and recenter your hips and your knees as you prepare to go onto the left. So you're going to shimmy your hips over onto the left side slightly and lower your hips over to the right with your feet still apart. Again, you can opt to bring the right ankle up on the outside of your left knee. Arms out to your side, gaze is to your left. Relax and slow down here. Inhale, bring your hips back and your knees back and come into supine butterfly position like we started in the beginning. Come back into your intention if you set any. And prepare yourself for your final resting position, Shavasana. Arms out by your side, palms facing upwards, legs apart, feet slightly turned out. Feel the effects of your practice as we go into this short Shavasana. Take a quick inventory of your muscles around your face, in your shoulders, in your traps where we hold a lot of tension, in your hips and your glutes. Just let them all go for now. Be aware of it and let it go. Focus on your breath. Feel the inhale fill your lungs, and exhale, release. Come back to your natural breath, so you're not trying to control your breath or anything anymore. You're simply just observing. Begin to deepen your breath. Feel the ground underneath you once more. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes to slowly wake up your body as you come out of the Shavasana. Now bring your arms up above your head into a prayer position as you are lying on the floor, and rest your thumbs, still in prayer position, over your third eye so that we may think with kind thoughts. Bring your thumbs above your mouth so we may speak with kind words. And once more, lower your thumbs on top of your heart so we may live with kindness and compassion. Come up to a seated position any way you need to, any way you want to. Once more, bring your hands up over your heart, prayer position. The divine in me sees and honors the divine in you. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed this flow. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for more. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.